You just got into an accident. I don't care what I screwed up.
I did not get into an accident.
I don't know what planet you think you're on right now.
The officer slamming the car door, even appearing to mock the driver's foreign accent.
Stop it with your, for what, sir? For what, sir?
Tase me? Look, you're about to tase me?
I want you to get your hand
hey!
off me. Don't tase me.
Tase me? Yes, why am I gonna get that?
Pedro!
Let me see your hand.
We went from racism to an officer who just took things way too far. Did that seem like a little bit too much force? Hey, how's it going YouTube? I'm your host for this one, Landon Dowlatsingh, and welcome back to another most amazing top 10 video. I'm so glad you guys keep clicking and keep coming back to the channel. And make sure you guys stay tuned to the end of this video where I reply to your guys' questions and comments from previous videos. We get to feature you guys. Now, I know police officers usually get a bad reputation. It's only some officers that ruin it for the rest of them. I actually have a ton of respect for law enforcement and police officers. I mean, they literally put their lives on the line every single day to serve and protect. But on this list, we're just picking out the bad apples, so a little disclaimer here. We're not hating on all police officers, this is just a fun video. So please don't think that this video really depicts what officers are really like, because it's not. This is like the 0.01%. Alright, let's get right into this one. This is the top 10 police officers freaking out.
Record it! Record it, man. Record me whooping his ass! You've been extra for no reason. What is all this for? Don't you throw your hand up. What is all this for? Do not throw your hands up at me again! Did I throw my own?
Starting us off, number 10. Well, you just watched it. That was a Louisiana police officer who just seems to have a really big anger problem. The officer is yelling at a teenager over loud music. It just makes no sense. The officer was Gary Thomas, and he was recorded for about 50 seconds before it was posted onto Facebook. You can see him in the video aggressively confronting the teenager for playing loud music on his own front porch. The officers wanted the teen to leave the porch and just go somewhere else. Not really sure if you can get booted off your home property by a police officer. I mean, you're just a minor. And I'm not really sure you get arrested for playing loud music. Isn't it just like a fine or something like that? Maybe a warning? I don't think threatening to beat the teenager was a professional thing to do in the police officer's position.
You put your hands on me for no reason. You're damn right, I'll put my hands on you any time I want to. And you swing on me, mother. You grab me. You swing on me, mother.
At the end of the video, the mother was so scared that the teenager was going to get shot. The mother kept saying, "Don't shoot him, don't shoot him." Number 9. You're about to see a police officer yelling at children, threatening to bring them to jail. I kid you not.
Hey! You want to screw around with me? We got 2 police officers tied up because of you. Now how about I take you off the bus and take you to jail?
I didn't throw it!
This little kid was so scared, he was just like, I didn't throw it. Apparently someone threw a snowball out of the window of the bus, and you know, it can be a very dangerous thing. So I don't actually blame the officers in this situation for freaking out. This kid on the bus was mouthing up to the officer as well. When asked, "Where do you live?" the kid just said, "I'm from hell." The officer told the kid to get off the bus so he can get the kid's information, maybe call the parents. But when the kid got off the bus, he just booked it. He ran away from law enforcement. I mean... That's a crime in itself. I know these kids on the bus finds the situation funny, the kid's acting like an idiot, he just ran away, but this is a serious situation. This kid seems like a troubled kid, and it seems like he's gonna have a lot of run-ins with the law. This is the start of something pretty bad. Number 8. Alright, I'm not 100% sure if you're allowed to film a police officer. Let me know in the comment section below, are you allowed to? Well, I did a little bit of research, and it actually seems like you can. Apparently you have the right to videotape and audio tape in public places, but some officers just don't like to be recorded, and you know what? I totally understand that. When you're doing your job, do you really want a video camera right in your face? Well, unless it's right here, unless I get paid to do it. But, I mean, why are police officers always being scrutinized and always being filmed? Well, we're about to see an officer who freaks out when a camera gets too close to him.
Have you permission to record inside the railway station?
Have you got permission to grab me? What are you doing?
Record inside the railway station.
Have you got permission to grab me?
The officer was trying to get this guy's information just because he's recording in the subway station. The officers didn't like that, but this is a public place. The officer tried to grab the man's camera, which might be considered as an unlawful act during duty.
You know, like, he ain't actually a copper. What are you doing? Why are you twisting it? Why are you twisting it?
I have permission to record on the station, so put it off.
Okay. No, I'm going to report you to the police, the proper police. I'm a police officer. No, you're grabbing my car.
Another officer did step in and calm the situation down a bit. So, you know what? Let's move on. We want more freakouts on here. Number 7, we have a sheriff who got into a fight with his own deputy. While on duty, the two officers stopped a man suspected of drinking under the influence. Well, the sheriffs ordered the deputy to just let the man go. The deputy believes that the sheriff was just pulling rank and might have known the guy, and you know, he's just doing his buddy a favor. Like, just drive home. Don't let this happen again. Well, the deputy officer didn't want to let the drunk driver go. Well, what you're about to hear is some audio from what happened. Listen to this.
So I'm taking this guy for a DWI. Come on.
I can do what I want.
No, you can't.
Nobody can tell me what to do.
Since when?
If I want to release him, I will release him. And
No, you can't do that. No, you can't. It's a second DWI.
Okay, are you serious for now? This is the person's second DWI. The officer tested to see if the suspect was drunk, and it was proven that he was drunk. The sheriff just wanted to let his men know that he's the boss. Well, he's gonna have to try and be the boss man in jail, because I hope that's exactly what happened to him. But he was probably just suspended, and now he is jobless. Maybe he can be a mall security cop, and hopefully he doesn't just allow thieves to walk out the front door. With this sheriff, you just never know. Moving into number 6, we have this police officer who seemed to be power tripping. This whole next moment was captured on camera, and you won't believe what happens.
Show ID. Sir, you're grabbing me? Are you serious? Calm down.
Put it down.
Are you serious? You're about to tase me?
This officer is going nutso. He drew out his taser and he's about to shoot the guy in the parking lot of Walmart. All because this officer thought that he was filming him, in which, if you watch the whole video, the guy wasn't filming the police officer. He was actually filming the parking lot until the police officer approached him. That's when he turned the camera on the officer, and then that's when he went nuts. This guy for sure skipped his anger management course. This is an instance where you see a police officer abuse their power. We see this happen from time to time. I think maybe this officer had every right to question to see what this guy was doing and maybe get his ID, but I think he could have kept the situation a lot more calmer. Police officers are supposed to try and keep the peace and protect people. It seemed like those were avoided. This caused a disturbance, and also this guy's life was at risk because he is a dialysis patient, and if he was shocked, if he was tasered, it could have been really bad. He could have went into kidney failure or who knows what else. Taser should be like a last resort option, in my opinion. I don't know. Moving on, number 5.
Warrant motorists because it's considered road rage in the state of Colorado.
What would be the legal use for it?
It's considered road rage. I'm not going to sit here and school you on the legal use of that.
You got that. I understand.
If you have a driver's license here, then you should know the answer to that question.
Let me explain what is going on. This police officer is from Colorado. Well, he pulled this biker over because he was honking at him. The officer was in an unmarked vehicle. Well, the biker honked his horn at the officer because the biker noticed that the person, well, he didn't know he was an officer. Well, he noticed that this person was on his phone, and they're at a yield sign, in which you don't stop at, you just yield to traffic and then you go. But that guy was so distracted by his cell phone that he wasn't going. And you're not allowed to be on your cell phone while driving. So we honked at him. Maybe a little bit too aggressively, but I mean, in this situation, what's worse? Being honked at or being distracted on your phone, potentially putting yourself or others at danger? Well, take a look at this.
Fucking phone down.
So that's how this video clip started. You can see the officer had so much time to go through the yield sign, but he was distracted by dangerous driving. But yet the officer had to get out of his car and tell the biker that he has a road rage. I don't know if I agree with that. Tell me your opinions in the comment section below. I mean, who is in the wrong here? Hashtag the police officer, hashtag the biker. Number 4.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Yes, you are.
I'm not giving you nothing.
Give me.
Bro. Hey.
Get off me. What is you doing?
What is you doing?
Put your hands behind
What is you
your
doing?
back.
What kind of cop training did this woman go to? I mean, is this real life right now? Is she asking him for his ID, or is she arresting him, and for what? Well, apparently this officer pulled over this guy because he was seen riding his bike on the sidewalk. And I know you're not supposed to ride your bike on the sidewalk, but isn't there other bigger problems to deal with? I know one time I was actually yelled at by a police officer for riding my bike on the sidewalk. I was threatened with a ticket and everything. Luckily I didn't get one, but I tried to tell the officer that there was one part of the road road that was a little dangerous, and it was at nighttime, and I felt safer on the sidewalk. And I think it was like midnight after work. There's no one on the sidewalk. I took it, but the police officer, he was a pretty tough officer, but at least I didn't get a ticket. Well, getting back to this police officer, she was totally freaking out on this guy, and after the guy wasn't listening, you can see this other officer totally freaking out as he entered the scene.
Put your hands behind your back.
Bruh.
Put your hands behind your back. Now.
You hear her talking to you?
Hey.
Do you hear her
Hey.
talking to you?
All right, hey, no, hey, chill. All right, it's all good.
Okay, whoa. Did you guys see how the officer entered the scene? He just comes in, he's just like, he just starts choking the guy. Like, the officer has no idea what's going on, but he comes in with a chokehold. I know we shouldn't ride our bikes on the sidewalk, but was this all really necessary?
Okay, can you get off me? Sit
Bro,
down.
why is you squeezing my cuffs?
Sit down.
God, bruh.
Sit down.
Oh, why is you kicking me? Stop kicking me, bruh.
How many times did I ask?
Now, moving into number 3.
Alright, go take your hand out of your pocket.
No, sir, I haven't done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing, no.
Hey, seriously.
Put your gun down, really?
This officer just gets out of his vehicle and right away he takes out his gun. I mean, that was his first reaction. I'm not sure if he's just showing power or what, because I think that taking out your gun should be like a last resort thing. Maybe you're in danger, you feel threatened, but clearly after watching this video, the police officer, he doesn't feel threatened. I mean, I don't see it there, because he took his eyes off the suspect, he's calling him for the radio, he seems pretty relaxed. If I'm taking out my gun, I'm focused. This is pretty scary. It almost seems like the man in blue isn't a police officer, just because his behavior is so odd. It's pretty bizarre. So this police officer only stopped because he noticed that this man was filming him as he drove on by in his cruiser. Well, if he was so upset at that, why did he arrive to the scene and then he whipped out his cell phone and he was the one that started to record as well? I mean, I am so confused here. Take a look at this.
Didn't like that I was pointing my camera to videotape him. He thinks he's being funny now.
I mean, what is the police officer's deal?
Some kind of a constitutionalist,
No, sir.
crazy guy or something like that? Is that your
Is that what you're going after? Is that where you're going?
I'm
Are you throwing claims?
So after this altercation, the police officer just turned around, he got back into his car, no explanation. It's like, what the heck just happened? Number 2, you absolutely won't believe this next one. We have a police officer who decided to take the law into his own hands.
The officer put a repo man in a chokehold, a very long chokehold, to keep him from repossessing his SUV. Then when other cops arrived, he tried to run.
Is this real life right now? We have a police officer putting a repo man into a chokehold, and then we have a police officer who is running away from other police officers. How does this even happen? The officer was arrested for aggravated battery and interfering with police. He was already on paid suspension at this time.
Sources tell News 13 state police had been investigating to see if Officer Vernier is mentally competent to be an officer. It didn't stop him from trying to pull rank.
I'm a state police officer. He assaulted me first.
Well, I think it's safe to say that this officer has found a new home. A home with metal bars around it. Pretty secure home. Finally, number 1, we have an officer who had to be calmed down by another police officer. Things are about to go from 1 to 100 like real fast.
For no reason. Stop following us around. There's no login.
Stop following us around! That's your last warning!
You got that.
Go ahead and record it. Officer Tobler 612.
I'm pretty sure the guy is right in front of you. You don't have to yell at him like that. But you know what? We're not in the officer's shoes. We don't know about all the abuse that they go through every single day on their job. It must be so frustrating. People yelling at you and you gotta be like so calm like all the time. And are these police officers allowed to freak out from time to time? I mean, maybe. Well, what you're about to see is this officer, he just totally loses his cool and he had to be calmed down by another officer.
Just because you're a chicken shit motherfucker and you have no problem.
Scott, that's enough. Steven, go. Okay.
So the other officer was telling this guy to go, but he had to keep pushing the officer's buttons, saying that he wanted to file charges against him. This guy should have just left. I mean, what is his deal? What was he trying to accomplish here? Clearly the officer got emotionally upset at you. I mean, you can hear it in his tone of voice. For situations like this, it's a good thing that police officers have partners. People in the comment section of this video was pretty bad towards the cop, but this cop actually didn't arrest this guy or give him a ticket, only a warning. So I don't know who's in the wrong here. Alright, you guys made it to the end of this video. It is time to reply to your guys' comments. First up, we got Suitcase Dog, Early Squad, where are you at? A gecko called Roger. First, hi Landon, I love when you host. You're the reason why I subbed. Thank you so much, buddy. Eloy Sanderson said, rest in peace, SpongeBob creator. Can you do a video on it, Landon? Who was the SpongeBob creator? Did he pass away? SpongeBob creator. Let's see. Steven Hillenberg. He was 57 years old. He's young. Cause of death was ALS. Oh my god. Is SpongeBob still going on? Alright, that was pretty sad, but let's move on to the next comment. I'll see if we can do a top 10 on it. Don't really like to do videos on tragedy though. Mr. Devotsky said, if I illegally downloaded movies on a cruise, does that make me a pirate of the Caribbean? Absolutely. Chris Meester said, Sam and Dean Winchester, Supernatural is still on. I asked in a previous video, I made a reference to them, and I asked you guys if Supernatural is still going on, and you guys answered me. They're on their 14th season. That is insane, because I remember season 1, and that was 14 years ago. I mean, damn. Juan said, road to 5 million. Are we actually close to 5 million subscribers? That is insane. Beautiful Bizarre says, here before 50 views. That's crazy. That's hella early. Next we got, want to see a magic trick? Click this, it will turn blue. I see what you did there. Well, only 2 people fell for it. Matt Genius says, this channel should be called Top 10 Scary. Maybe it should.